are going over the Clinical Hours Tracker Spreadsheet from Confident Coin. When you first open up the file, you will want to set up the file. This spreadsheet has data in it so that the file works as we're going through it, but yours will come blank with a few dummy data lines in it for you. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is enter in your start date and your goal or end date. So to do that, you'll double click and use the date selector to select your date. The same process for your end date or your goal date. And then decide if you want your weeks to start on Sunday or Monday by using the drop down. This is important for counting your weekly hours over in the dashboard. So down here you can see there is a weekly hour breakdown, and depending on whether you start on a Sunday or a Monday, it will change how your hours are counted. Once you've done that, you will want to enter in your hours needed. So total hours, direct hours, and indirect hours. Next, if you want to enter in what your monthly goals are to complete your hours each month, you would enter that here. So let's say you wanted to do 65 hours this month and then 75. You would type them in and press enter, and you can see here it's adding up the amounts for you. The month and year will auto-populate for you based on the dates that you've entered. For example, if you're taking a month off, you can either leave it blank or put in 0 if that's your goal. Once you have completed that, you can move on to enter in your activities, locations, and supervisors. There is some dummy data in here. You do not need to enter notes if you don't want, just the activity names. There is 200 lines, so you can fill them all in or just what you need. In addition, there is locations and supervisors. When we move over into the tracker, we will be able to see that all of these items that we've entered in are here for us to use. If you decide later that you need to add to them, you can just head back to the Setup tab and type them in. To type them in, you would just double click, type in, press enter. And then when you go back into your tracker, you would see that the new doctor you've added is there. Once you have your file set up, there are 2 additional tabs that use the information from the locations and supervisors list that you've created here. They're optional and do not affect the function of the file. They're just there for you if you need them. So under the supervisors tab, the names will transfer over, as you can see. And then if you want to add anything about them, like role, department, contact, location, or notes, you can add them in here. Again, it doesn't affect the function of the file. It's just for reference. Likewise, in the locations list tab, the locations are transferred over. And then if you need to enter in the address or any notes, parking notes, or if you want to link to a Google map or the directions that you typically use, you can put that in here as well. To enter in the hours, you are going to double click and select the date, or you can type it in. You'll type in your start time and then your end time. And then it will automatically calculate the hours for you. You can see here that it is red, and that is because you have not entered direct or indirect hours. So once you do that, it will go away. And then you will just use the drop-down menus, or if you want to type, it will auto-populate for you. And then if you have any notes, you can type them in here. The tracking log goes all the way to row 1000. If you happen to need more than that, you can add more rows. I would start with 100 at a time. And so you just press add, and then you can just highlight. I would highlight 2 and then just drag down. And then again, it will continue to work with all of the data we have already entered. In your dashboard, you can see a summary of your week and current month at the top here. So now we move down to some pie charts. So the gray will be total hours that you've completed. The blue or green is considered direct, and the pink or coral is the indirect hours. And you can see a summary here, including the percentage you've done, how many have been completed, and what's remaining. There is a bar graph that is a comparison of your hours to each other. So you can see of your total hours, you've completed 20%, direct is 22, and indirect is 17. So you can kind of have a visual understanding of how you're doing. This is a comparison of your direct versus indirect. The colors match, and then this is your overall progress of your total hours by month. So you can see it's a running total. All of this data comes from the breakdown here at the bottom. So we'll start with the weekly hour breakdown. So as I was saying before, this is using your week start date that you've selected from here. We're starting on Mondays. And you can see for each week how many hours you've completed. So you can see direct, indirect, and then a weekly total. And then that repeats for every single week. So you can see how you're doing each week. And then also, in addition, your total number of hours as it accumulates. Likewise, with the monthly summary here, you have the month, how many direct, indirect, and then your monthly total hours. And then if you set goals on the setup tab, they will check if you automatically if you've met them. So let's just say for March, for March, the goal was 30 hours. You will see here that it has checked itself off. And then you can also see the running total. The months and the weeks will auto-populate for you based on the dates that you select, so you don't need to enter any of that on this tab. So that is the Clinical Hours Tracking Spreadsheet. If you have any questions, we would love to hear from you. As always, we want to make sure that you are happy with your spreadsheets. Thanks for watching.